Hello and welcome. I'm Lucy Newport from Binge Free and Worthy, and we've got a wonderful question submitted anonymously today by one of my email subscribers. And she says, I want to find love, but have been holding myself back because of fear of rejection, as my body is larger than I'd like it to be. The way you talk about being a highly sensitive person really resonates, and I can see how you use food for comfort and also as a buffer to protect me from other people and situations. I've also tried so many times to lose weight, but I know it just makes my binge eating worse, and now I am heavier than ever. I've got to the point where I don't want to wait any longer for love, but I'm scared I'll like a guy, but he'll be put off by my body, or I'll have to tell a potential boyfriend about my binge eating, and again, that'll put him off. Any advice? So, thank you so much for having the bravery to articulate your fears in this way and ask such a beautiful question. I think many women are going to relate to this. As I was writing out the answer, there were so many things within it that I was like, oh, I really needed to hear that too. So thank you. It's also really interesting to me how the majority of these questions in these Q&As have been around weight. And it just shows us how so many of us have this utter fear of being anything other than slim and toned and what we believe all of that means about us. So yes, thank you. There are a couple of things within your question that I want to acknowledge because they are really wonderful and wise, and I want you to recognize that. So, you said that you use food as comfort and as like a buffer from people and situations. Now, this is a really wonderful insight, and I think it's important to remember that food is comforting. We are wired to find comfort and pleasure in food and eating, and there's nothing wrong with that generally, but it does start to become a problem, as I'm sure you've recognized, when you use food as your primary source of comfort, when it's your go-to, when you don't have other tools to help you tend to your nervous system, to come back to yourself when you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed or insecure, whatever it is that you've got going on. And the second thing that you said is that you recognize that dieting and trying to lose weight has just made your binge eating worse. Now, most women find themselves binge eating due to dieting. It's been their path into binge eating. And this is a really hard thing to acknowledge because most of us, we kind of know it. We're aware that's the case on one level, but we don't want to fully acknowledge it because we hope that the next diet is going to be the thing that helps us to lose weight and we'll stop binging with it. And you've come to that place where you're seeing, okay, this isn't working for me. I need to do something different here. And that's really wonderful. So I'm celebrating you for being in this point in your journey, for wanting to put yourself out there and open yourself up to love. And I hope that you have some kind of support, or you at least know where you're going on your journey to create these more loving, peaceful, nurturing relationships with food and your body as a highly sensitive. So I've got a few points that I'd love to share with you in answer to your question. And the first one is around acknowledging this fear, because you said in your question, I think twice, that you were feeling scared. And this is perfectly okay and to be expected, especially as a highly sensitive, where you are really in tune with what other people are thinking or feeling. You are lightly bracing yourself against this judgment that you are thinking that other people might hold against you. There's this part of us that really deeply just wants to keep us safe, this ancient, deeply wired part of us that is here to protect us. And that's wonderful. But the hard thing is, as wonderful as that is, you don't want that part of you holding yourself back from going for the love that you want to experience in your life or anything else. So the invitation here is to recognize that this fear isn't a flaw, but also that you don't want it running the show. So you can practice saying to yourself in those moments where you're feeling fearful, maybe getting curious about what the specific fear is, and then saying to that part of you, thank you, I hear you, it's okay, and I know you're just trying to protect me, but I don't want you to run the show. You don't have to be fearless to find love at all. You just have to be willing to take those steps with the fear, whilst reminding yourself that I am worthy enough to be seen and to be heard. And this is the real work, and it can be uncomfortable, but you do not have to do it perfectly. Just be honest with yourself in those moments. The second thing that I'd love for you is to challenge the idea that love is only available for people in certain size bodies. And as you hear me saying that, you might think, well, of course, that's not true, but we really often internalize this message for ourselves. We think we'll only be lovable and acceptable when our bodies look a certain way. And this is just such a shame. This really gets to me. But the truth is, the right relationship for you won't require you to force your body to change. What it will require you to do is to show up fully as yourself with your heart open and to be able to share what it is that you're experiencing and what you're in. And this can feel like a lot. This can feel very overwhelming, especially as a highly sensitive again. But there is so much connection and growth within this. What is also true is that there are there are millions of people in loving, supporting relationships, regardless of the size of their body. And this also includes people like you who have challenges and struggles with their relationships with food and their body. So, a beneficial exercise for you might be to look at people in your life, maybe in the public eye as well, who are in these loving relationships, who are able to receive love, even if their bodies aren't that specific, ideal body type that you've been trying to achieve. This is really wonderful for showing your system that actually, yes, love is very, very much possible, even if your body doesn't look exactly the way that you want it to. The third thing I want to say to you is don't hold yourself back. And this is really linked to the first point I made, but I want to labor it a little bit because I could feel the weight of your judgment on yourself in your question. And this is something that I've really got to know on a deeper level lately. And I'm going to illustrate this with a story, with a realization that I had. And I thought about not sharing this story because I don't want to be seen as bitchy or judgmental, especially to other women. But actually, I think it will really help many of you. So, a few years ago, 3.5 years ago, I moved back to the area that I grew up in. And I often see people that I went to school with. And in the last few years, I've bumped into a couple of guys that when I was 12, 13, 14, I had little crushes on. Nothing major. But even if I did have like a proper crush on either of them, I don't think I would have let them know. I don't think I would have put myself out there in that way because I didn't think that I was good enough for them. I didn't fit the image that I had in my mind of the kind of girl that I thought they would like. And in seeing them as adults and seeing them with their partners, wives, I don't know, but both of them had children with these women. I was like, they don't fit the idea that I had in my mind of the kind of woman that they would be with. And this is the bit that I was worried about being judged on because I had this very, very narrow image in my mind of the kind of girl, the kind of woman that I saw them ending up with. And this is just really reflective of what we all see as what is lovable and acceptable and desirable in a woman. And these two, as amazing as I'm sure they are, and they are beautiful women, they didn't fit that very specific image that I had in my mind. And I thought, that's so interesting. And I wonder how many ways, and I'm sure it's many, many ways, that I've held myself back because I didn't think that I didn't fit the image that I thought was it. That was the lovable, desirable woman, the woman that was good enough. So I hope that that helps you to see a way that you might be holding yourself back when actually you might be exactly the kind of woman that a guy that you're desiring wants. So, four, allow your experiences with binge eating to naturally come up. So, you do not need to tell a man on a first date all about your experiences with binge eating. You can allow this to be something that naturally unfolds as and when it feels right. And hopefully, as you're getting to know someone who you feel safe around and that you want to be open with, this is something that naturally happens. And maybe you want to plant those initial seeds, and you can do this, for example, say you're going out for dinner and you order a dessert. You might want to say something like, "Oh, I wouldn't have ordered a dessert a few years ago because I would have been scared about gaining weight. But healing my relationship with food and allowing myself some of the foods that I really enjoy is an important part of doing this, of healing my relationship with food." And just seeing where that takes you, it opens you up to them asking you questions about your experiences. Maybe you find that talking about being a highly sensitive person is easier initially than talking about binge eating, but it can naturally lead on to that or set the stage for talking about that at a later date. So, again, an example of this could be saying, I used to really rely on food as a way to cope with my sensitivity, as a way to soothe myself. But I'm in the process of learning these new tools to help me to do that in ways that don't involve food. And again, just seeing where that takes you. I think this is a really beneficial way to do this, especially as you're getting to know someone, because one, seeing how they respond to these little nuggets of your experiences with relationships with food in your body helps you to determine whether there's someone that you actually want to be with. Two, it helps you to then not be in a position where you're like, oh, this man is now my boyfriend or he's my partner, and there's this whole piece about me that he doesn't know, and you've got to have this kind of uncomfortable conversation. And three, just being open with someone in this way, again, someone that you feel safe with, it builds this trust and connection and intimacy early on. And, that's what love is all about. So I had been with my ex partner for 3 years. No, I had been binge eating already for 3 years when I met my ex partner, and I didn't tell him about my experiences. Now, to be fair to myself, I didn't have the awareness that you seem to have right now. I didn't know that binge eating was a thing. I don't think I'd even heard the term. I didn't know it was a type of eating disorder. I thought it was just this weird thing that I did myself, and I just wanted to sort it out and not have to tell him anything about it. But my binge eating continued for many years after that, and I got to the point where I did really want to tell him, that I felt like I really had to tell him. And this conversation was, really uncomfortable, and I think he felt hurt because I had felt like I couldn't be honest and open with him about this aspect of myself. And two, because I've been going through something really challenging and he could have been supporting me in that. And he is very wonderful and understanding in so many ways. But it would have been better for us if I had been more open and communicative about my relationships with food and my body in the beginning. So, yes, hopefully this is something that you're able to weave into your conversations in that natural way as you get to know one another. the last thing I want to say to you is to give yourself time and space on this journey. So, putting yourself out there in this vulnerable way and getting to know people, getting to know someone on these more deeper, intimate levels, it can be a lot for anyone, let alone a highly sensitive person who is taking in all this information on deeper levels, who is connecting dots and, reading other people's language. It's so much. So give yourself the time and the space that you need on this journey, whilst also remembering that your sensitivity, it is not a flaw. I can't say this enough. And your sensitivity and your empathy are going to be gifts that someone really, really values within you. So, as you're getting to know people, you might find it helpful to allow yourself to be seen in smaller ways before you really dive in and open yourself out. And this will just help to, not only build trust with other people, but to build trust within yourself and know that, okay, I am okay. It is safe for me to put myself out there in this way. I've got my back. I've got the tools I need to take care of myself. And if you're someone who struggles a lot with their self-worth, it might be really helpful to have some questions that you ask yourself as you're getting to know different men to make sure that this is actually what you want and not something that you're being pulled to because of these lower self-worth tendencies. So I've got 3 questions here that you might want to write down and use as a check-in. So after you've been on a date with someone, you might want to ask yourself, were there any ways that I changed myself around this person in order to feel more worthy of them? Second one is, were there any ways that I put this person's needs first, even though this was detrimental to my own? Such a big one for highly sensitive people. And the last one is, do I actually like this man, or do I think I like him because he likes me? And that last one, again, is such a big one for women who struggle with their self-worth. You get a bit of attention from a man and you think, oh, okay, this feels nice. This man likes me. And you like that attention and you get that confused with feeling like you actually like this person when maybe, that isn't the man that you want to be with. So I'm going to leave it there. I feel like that's quite a lot to be going on with, and I don't want to overwhelm you with any more information. I'm really excited for you. I would really love if you feel comfortable to reach back out and let me know how your experiences are going. Really wishing you all the best of luck in it. Yeah, love a love story. For anyone who's watched this who might have had a question come up as you're watching this, or have a question relating to how to stop binge eating and your relationships with food and your body as a highly sensitive, please send them my way. So if you're already on my email list, if you already get my inbox reflections, just go to a recent email and scroll to the bottom and click the link there. If you're new to me, then you can go to binge-and-Q-A. Just sign up for my emails there and you'll be sent the form to send a question right away. As ever, like this question that came through today, you can ask anonymously, but I'd also love to know who you are if you are happy to share that. So yes, thank you. Hope that was helpful and I will see you soon. Thank you.